whatever.
5, 4, 3.
A notorious unsanctioned event took place once again, rain or shine.
Students renew a 40-plus year battle for ethnic studies.
An inside look at the UC budget crisis.
Future freshmen at UC Santa Cruz.
Merrill students spread their artistic wings.
And the latest from the Slug Sports Fest.
All that now, coming up on Banana Slug News. Good evening, and welcome to Banana Slug News. I'm Crosby.
And I'm Mannis.
Our top story tonight, students all over campus participated in one of our most famous events, which is still unsanctioned by the school. Monica Cordova, Mered Hidalgo, and Aubrey Goslin joined in the jubilation.
Here we are, reporting from the Porter Meadow on this typical gloomy Santa Cruz day. It's April 20th once again, and the annual 420 Festival is getting underway. Though this event is not a UCSC sanctioned event, we're out here today to hear people's theories and opinions on this pot smokers holiday. As you can see, not even the rain can stop those participating, as people have taken refuge under the canopy of the trees out here in the meadow.
I'm Bradley Riot.
I'm Mike Cardenas.
I'm in the Black Hands.
I'm in aggressive opposition.
We're coming from LA, torn up from LA, and then
We're on the Wasted Tooth Youth Tour right now.
yeah.
Wasted Tooth?
Wasted Tooth.
Yeah, we're the Wasted Tooth
Yeah,
Tour.
but we're here at, what's this festival called? It's 420 in Santa
Yeah,
Cruz.
it's 420.
It's 420 in Santa Cruz. You guys know where we are.
You know, 420 tradition. I mean, I don't really smoke weed, but, you know, I'm here to celebrate, you know. Any reason's a good one, but yeah.
I came out here today because it's a festival and I would like to partake in the festivities.
Well, I'm out here today because I feel like it's a very prominent time in this spring season to enjoy its wildlife and to come together in unity with all our fellow youth and really enjoy freedom. Yes, that is why I'm here.
Well, I'm a senior here, so it's my last year to come out here. It's kind of just a tradition at the school to come out here every year. And why not? It's my last year.
I'm out here because I love people and I support the freedom of speech. And people get together because of marijuana.
I'm going up the country, pretty mama, don't you wanna go? I'm going up the country, pretty mama, don't you wanna go? I'm going up the country, pretty mama.
It is apparent that those from all over California traveled here today for positive vibes and a sense of community. So we then asked them if they could tell us a little about the history of the holiday.
Trees and all the humankind. I bring it back for the drums because I came here and all the drums over here. And if you don't know it, you might as well hear it. Put a smile on your face and believe it.
I know that in the old history of 420 is that there was a group of high schoolers who used to gather after school around 420 and they used to get high then after school. So that's my knowledge of the history of 420.
Yeah, I know some about the ones in DC. That's where I'm from, you know, and it started back when they first started the 420 protest. It actually wasn't on 420 in DC. It was on the 4th of July, and it's called the Smoke-In, and it was to promote medical marijuana, and it's right in front of the White House, and they'd still do it today on 4th of July.
I've heard stories that back in the day, a group of friends would, the code word to go and meet to smoke was 420, and it'd be at 4:20 p.m. and they'd all know the word and they all allow themselves to understand that meaning, come together. Yeah, pretty much.
Indeed, and in 1971, those 5 San Rafael high school students met daily at 4:20 p.m. to smoke the herb, as we learned, Cha himself gifted to us. From there, 420 spread like wildfire, ultimately declaring Porter Meadow as a mecca for pothead stoners and occasional dabblers alike. So with what is considered to be so natural by many, we asked the festival goers how they felt about the criminalization of marijuana and Prop 19 being stricken down.
I would have voted against it if I was a registered California voter, because the bill that they wrote up was not one that would have been productive for the company or for the country or even for California. So I would have voted against it. But
I voted no. Yeah, I think it wasn't really well worded and it wasn't thought out enough yet. So I feel like it can happen, but it needs to be more planned out and a better worded measure.
Although the legalization of marijuana is still in the works, those from all walks of life nonetheless are gathered here in celebration of peace, love, and the beauty of the earth, gloomy weather and all. As you can see, nothing can stop students and community members from participating in this 420 event. This has been Merrill Moat for BSF.
Sounds like that was quite a chill sesh.
420 is really one of the most notorious Santa Cruz holidays. Up next, the battle for ethnic studies on campus rages on. Here's Lloyd Alabon with the report.
Okay. Oh, what fruit would you be and why? She has a weird question. I'd be a chocolate-covered strawberry, and I wouldn't be organic. I'd be made with pesticides because I'm a little toxic. I thought about it last night.
What's your name?
Oh.
I know, you can't just strawberry.
Strawberry. My name's Elena.
It's not the typical way most would envision a form to begin. But after 40 plus years of work, many involved believe something new had to be done. Union Assembly last Wednesday kicked off Ethnic Studies Now, the first of a 3-part series held at Stevenson College. The forum hoped to discuss the topic of ethnic studies at UCSC, a topic which many students of color thought was long overdue.
Since the first graduation, there's been an organizing going on for ethnic studies, and I don't know what, 30, 40 years later, there still is none. So that is problem number one. There are many other ones, probably a racially insensitive and culturally incompetent learning environment, which I believe is a product of not having a ethnic studies department, which would do a greater service to people of color and also to people who are racially insensitive.
And, before we had community studies, we had also American studies, and so that was sort of the excuse for why we didn't have an ethnic studies department. But now with the suspension of those majors, now more than ever, it's pertinent to really have a critical race and ethnic studies.
Alma de Castro, Commissioner of Academic Affairs, moderated Wednesday's event. Topics discussed included ways to mobilize faculty and students towards realizing an ethnic studies major.
Curriculum grow if we could get faculty support who are willing to participate in the program to apply for grants and other groups, their emphasis on their own work for research or for field studies in that area that would also bring in outside funding.
UCSC remains one of only 2 UC undergraduate campuses without an ethnic studies program. Over the past 2 years, the Academic Senate and the American Studies faculty moved to suspend both the Community Studies and the American Studies programs respectively, 2 programs which offered many ethnic-related curriculum. The struggle for ethnic studies traces its roots back to the first graduating class at UCSC. In 1969, students took over the first graduation ceremony to protest what they saw were acts of discrimination against students of color on campus. Recent developments in the fight for ethnic studies date back to the March 2nd protests. Student and faculty showed up with a list of demands for an ethnic studies program. One faculty member who showed up that day was Professor of Literature Christine Hong.
There are many misconceptions about ethnic studies. I think that a lot of people who aren't acquainted with ethnic studies have certain cartoon notions of ethnic studies being some kind of identity politics, or they think about it as being what they sort of disparagingly call the 4 food groups of Asian American studies, African American studies, Native American studies, and Chicano Latino studies as being these kind of separate and siloized 4 food groups. And so people have a lot of different conceptions about ethnic studies that don't necessarily correspond to what ethnic studies is. And on this,
and you touched on the necessity of an ethnic studies program.
Yeah.
And backing up, why is it necessary to have such a program?
Well, okay. Yeah, I think that it's necessary for a number of reasons. I mean, right now, really, one of the sort of key questions in terms of the kind of crisis to public education is really what the purpose is of an education at a public university. And I think that ethnic studies is a very interesting program because it's historically raised the question of what it means for a public education to be public. And so ethnic studies historically was a kind of democratizing claim upon the university insofar as the focus of ethnic studies was really twofold. It was not only democratization of content, of what was taught, in other words, democratizing the curriculum, but also democratization in terms of student bodies, so democratization of admissions. And I think now more than ever, as we see the university turning in private and very sort of, unabashedly neoliberal directions, having this discussion about ethnic studies is very timely.
Like many of the protesters on March 2nd, students at Wednesday's event knew the fight for ethnic studies had to start with them.
You need to engage the people. You can't just say, oh, well, the majority white males, you probably don't understand the dynamics that these people are going through, but I'm going to represent all of the, Muslim students on campus, even though I don't really understand what they're going through either, but we need it. I mean, that is not engaging. And
I feel like it's important to not forget, the original, making sure that we have concrete motivation, that we have concrete, that we as students have a concrete vision of what we want to see from this. Because I know from personal experience that when you're bringing stuff to these bodies, dysfunctional as they possibly are, it's you're just going to blow you off if you don't have anything concrete.
The final 2 events were held on the 18th and the 20th at the Silverman Conference Room at Stevenson College and the College 8 Red Room, respectively. I'm Lloyd Laban, reporting for Banana Slug News.
That is definitely a heated issue here on campus. Thanks, Lloyd, for bringing this to our attention. And now we return to current events. The Filipino Student Association will hold its annual cultural show, Filipino Cultural Celebration 20, Anak, this Thursday and Saturday. Anak will take place at the UCSC Main Stage Theater. Tickets are available at UCSC ticket booth and at the door. Doors open at 6 and the show starts at 7.
College 9 will be celebrating its 10th anniversary May 14th. Peace on Fire, Global Blues, Poetry, and Politics will take place from 8 to 10 p.m. at the Kumbawa Jazz Center. Speakers include Angela Davis, Corey Harris, and Shal Drew Patel. The Kumbawa Jazz Center is located on 322 Cedar Street.
The priority housing deadlines for the coming academic year are approaching rapidly, so if you plan on getting first choice on campus apartments or the nice-looking dorms, check with your college housing department for details. Each college has different dates, so check in as soon as you can.
Award-winning author Claudia Rankin comes to the Humanities 206 on Thursday, April 28th. Rankine will appear as part of a Living Writers series sponsored by the Literature Department. The event will begin at 6 p.m. and is open to the public. Be sure to check out next week's author, Jessica Hagdorn, as well. She will appear on May 5th.
Be sure to wear skinny jeans on April 27th in observance of Denim Day. Denim Day was created as a reminder of the need for rape prevention. For more information on the history of Denim Day, please visit Denim Day at denimdaynla.org. Up next, the UC system faces an additional $500 million budget restriction for the 2011-2012 school year. How does that fare for UC Santa Cruz? Not too good. Here's Pierce Crosby with more.
The state of California is known for having one of the highest advanced educational systems in the known world today. UCLA is ranked 13th internationally, and UC Berkeley is ranked 2nd. So what does that say about UC Santa Cruz? Where do we stand on the international rankings? Well, as a matter of fact, not so good. UC Santa Cruz doesn't even make the top 100. So the question is, why? Well, one of the reasons being that we are a young university, a research-intensive university, but also it could be because of the recent budget crisis. I'm Pierce Crosby with the story.
Right now, California higher education, including the university, the CSUs, the community colleges, are a great system of higher education. It has worked tremendously. If you go to any other country in the world, I mean, just use as an example, you go to any other, or almost any other country in the world, and you ask them, would they like to trade their government for California's government? How many would say yes? The answer is almost none of them would say yes. But if you ask them, would they trade their higher education system for California's higher education system, virtually every country in the world would say yes. They'd be delighted to have a system like we have in California.
These are the thoughts of our UC Chancellor. While he admits our government isn't exactly stable, he still trusts the quality of the education system. But what happens when the California legislation issues a $500 million cut to the University of California system? Will this not impede upon the ability of the university to sustain the ability to have a prestigious educational reputation? The Chancellor simply puts it as Budget Armageddon. That's right, we're no longer dealing with economically oriented policies and tax proposals. We're dealing with World War III budget crisis. And there is the possibility of another $150 million being taken away from the UC system
I've asked
next
that
year.
same question of many legislators, and so my assessment is it's not likely to go that badly, but if it does.
That was part of my question.
I don't think it's that likely, but that doesn't mean it can't happen.
Right.
And it also means that we should be really concerned about it, because I do think it is, I'm using Armageddon as shorthand for a serious challenge to the university. If it does happen, I really believe that, as I said before, I don't think that the campus can just take those cuts and then go on happily doing its business.
So, the question is, what does this mean for you?
It's the middle class that's really going to be adversely affected by, by any fee increases that happen. And so that's where the issue is.
Middle-class America will indeed suffer the greatest, and anyone who makes over $80,000 won't be getting financial securities from UC. So, let's break it down. For incoming freshmen, there's two options. Increased California resident tuition versus non-resident financially devastating tuition. Either case, the projected four-year plan is as follows. Year 1 through 4, for instance, tuition racks up to be approximately $144,000, whereas year 1 through 4 for out-of-state tuition racks up to be close to $250,000. We asked students how they plan to cope with the rising prices, and surprisingly, no one was overly concerned about the price change. Everyone just wants to get their degree as quickly as possible so as to avoid a sizable debt.
I think the thing we're also seeing with students is many more students are trying to get out on the 4 or even 3-year plan. And that means that the availability of classes becomes critical. And so we're having to plan for that as part of our strategy.
The recent budget crisis is not only due to the financial cuts from the government of California, but due to the actual spending of student tuition here at UCSC. Respected members of the community agreed that we are cutting and allocating funds in seriously troubling ways.
Do I think UC isn't doing the right thing by parceling out these cuts to the campuses? No, I think that is the appropriate response. I mean, there's already going to be an 8% fee increase for students in the fall. There isn't enough, the Office of the President doesn't have enough money to take $500 million of cuts. They had no choice but to push them out to the campuses. And since we're not yelling Armageddon on the first $500 million, that almost proves that they were right to do that. I don't think that that was an unreasonable response.
So, for the future of UCSC and the undergraduate population, the situation is somewhat dire. Although we will continue to watch this budget crisis, we can see that it is slowly evolving into an epidemic or Armageddon. For Banana Slug News, I'm Pierce Crosby.
Thank you for that, Pierce. Next up, the invasion here. Prospective freshmen of the class of 2015 flooded UCSC this week. The future freshmen are here for Spring Spotlight. Spring Spotlight is a series of private tours being held this week for newly admitted high school seniors. Daily attendance for these tours averaged over 700 students. These future slugs visited campus this week to see if UCSC was the right choice for them. May 1st marks the date in which high school seniors nationwide must commit to the school of their choice. Some new admits expressed their excitement about attending UCSC.
Hi, I'm Lauren. My proposed major is environmental science, and I am most excited about living in the forest up here.
I'm Nate Reddy. I currently don't have a proposed major, but I'm interested in things like the new robotics major that just came out, as well as, well, really anything, because I haven't exactly picked one out. But what's really excited about this is the campus. Obviously looks very pretty. Basically, I know a lot of people here, so that's always good. And I love Santa Cruz, so.
Merrill celebrated an annual Moat Day last weekend. Merrill Moat Day provides an opportunity for Merrill students to leave their mark on the legendary Merrill Moat. Paul Vasquez and Kunal Narayan were there on the scene.
Merrill Moat Day, the annual tradition where the community gathers together in the pursuit of one common goal, free expression. Today marks the day where 10 local artists are given the opportunity to contribute to the Merrill artistic landscape.
For decades, the Moat Wall has represented the students' fervent desire to express themselves, while simultaneously displaying the many backgrounds that make up the student body.
Okay, so I remember the brief history of it was that the moat was created during like the early 60s simply for the protests and civil rights movement, so freedom of expression, freedom of speech. So the idea of actually painting on the moat was, I actually like that idea, you know, and on top of it, you know, people just want to express themselves, and what better than a plain wall, you know, so I'm down for it. I like it. I like how everybody has, you know, their own styles, and yet this shows individuality, and then on top of it, it shows all the diversity that we have here at Merrill, so I like it.
It's so many different pieces from everybody. Some of them are more emotional, some of them are more funny. It's a great way for people to like feel like they're a part of Merrill.
Every year, 10 murals are voted down, so that 10 new student pieces can take their place, each one diverse in message and in style.
I believe I called it Titanomachy because I thought that'd be a cool name. One with all the fire and giants destroying everything. I don't really know. Sort of at first going with more impressive, these giant monsters stalking the land and everything, and then wanted to make it a little bit less depressing. So there's a small figure in the corner that has some plants around them and a slingshot, and that's sort of more, okay, in the midst of all this destruction, there's at least some hope. This person will probably survive. My piece is a keyhole, and through the keyhole you can see this really beautiful valley kind of place outside where it's just flowers and trees and grass, and it's really gorgeous, right? And the meaning is basically go outside, and it doesn't just mean go outside, you know, into the forest. It means like go outside of yourself, also, you know, and open those locked doors that you have
that you need to open?
My piece is called The Broken Mirror of Innocence on Each Forgotten Face. That is a line from a Bob Dylan song called Every Grain of Sand. And the idea is I wanted to depict the diversity that we have, and also I wanted to show how much, a line like that is important to me, that not everybody's innocent, not everybody, is perfect. And it comes to a point to where, we go beyond that. We are human, The piece is actually very personal. Everybody's face is fragmented because, fragmented innocence, but every face on there is a member of my hall. So it's actually a portrait of everybody that I go with, like I lived with. So this is not just for me, it's for them. And that at some point, no one will be able to recognize us because, 4 years go by, nobody knows who lives in the dorms. So, and it will just tie back to the piece, a forgotten face,
Well, there you have it. This noble tradition lives on for one more year. There's just one question left on everyone's mind. What new murals will join the wall next year? For BSN, I'm Paul Vasquez.
Wow, I guess there's more to Merrill than tacos and spicy senoritas.
There sure is, Ari. And now we're going to bring you Banana Slug News sports updates. Spring has arrived, and if you're looking for great outdoor adventures, or maybe just a way to get ready to swimsuit season, the Recreation Department has got you covered. Outdoor excursions such as weekend backpacking trips and kayaking are offered throughout the quarter. Intramural sports and aerobic classes are also offered.
And now a look at Slug sports. Here are some scores from our most recent games. Women's water polo at the Sierra Pacific Division Championship game came in third in our district, winning the final championship 13-6.
Men's lacrosse versus UOP on April 10th won 22-2.
And we have many games coming up. Our lacrosse team is facing San Jose State on this Saturday at the upper field at 1 p.m. And that same day, our baseball team is up against Stanford University.
Men's club soccer is heading to the UC Irvine tournament, and our sailing team is going to the week-long ICSA National Dinghy Western Semifinal at USC.
Finally, our racquetball collegiate tournament is happening this Saturday from 8 to 6 at the racquetball courts.
Well, it looks like that's all the time we have for tonight's episode. To keep up with the most recent news on campus, please visit our website at www.slugtvnews.org.
If you would like to get involved as a crew member or have an important story you feel needs to be covered, please email us at bananaslugnews@gmail.com.
For all of us at BSN, I'm Pierce Crosby.
And I'm Ari Mannis.
Good news and good night.